Hey everybody, this is Joshua with Excelsior Coaching, and I have the honor to be with Mr. Tim Spar. How are you doing today, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great, and it is great to talk to you in person or close to in person anyway.
Exactly. I see the face.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how's your evening going so far?
It's actually going well. So I've got a house that's going to get worked on soon, and I'm in it waiting, construction will happen in a month or two, but I have a fire going. I'm hanging out with my cats. I'm relaxing. It's a nice evening.
That's what's up. Yeah, I've seen the pictures of the cats. They're adorable. Not my type of animal unless it's a liger, but you know, nothing can get past the liger. So, I would definitely own one if I could.
Oh, when I see those, I know I can't have one, but it doesn't mean I don't want some big cat like that.
Exactly. I would definitely support that.
Yeah.
Um, we're just here to have a nice, fun conversation. We're going to talk a little bit about masculinity, navigating life. And, I think my first question to you would be, just a little bit of how you grew up. What did it mean for you to be a man, as, our parents and predecessors would always say?
Oh, that's such a good question. And so I grew up in Fairborn. I think that's close to where you are. I grew up a Bengals fan, grew up in the 80s. And it was really interesting because my mom is super tough. And so I got a lot of the things a lot of people think are masculine things from her, like, grit your teeth when you're in pain, fight through stuff, be strong. And my dad, I wouldn't say he was passive, but he was a step back from her and he added stuff when he needed to. And, being a man for those people was being tough when you needed to be. And, it was a lot about being strong and independent.
Mhm.
And I have slightly different version of that now, but that was Midwest in the 80s. That's how you grew up.
Oh, I believe it. I tell people like I am very entrenched in the millennial generation, as they would call it, but I grew up pretty Gen X like in a lot of ways because I
Yeah.
had a lot of that exact same stuff. I had a lot of the, you don't show it, you don't show the pain, and even down to the latchkey kid stuff. So
Oh yeah,
yeah, it
same.
was hilarious. Yeah, I had a lot of that. It wasn't from my mom though. She was very over babying, and I still see that. I'm like, get away, get away. I don't need that. But my big brother, my pastors, they were the ones like, Josh, you got to be a man. You got to toughen up. Don't cry. It's okay. But at the same time, you're right. That definitely has evolved as I've gotten older because, going into education, going into mental health, it's taught me that it's okay to cry. Maybe not all the time and be a whiny little punk, but it's okay to let those feelings out. It's okay to laugh about it later. And, it's okay to be mad. It's okay to have feelings in general. I wasn't taught that originally.
I very similar. And, you know, I was married for 25 years. I loved my wife. I learned so much from her about emotions,
Mhm.
and having emotions is okay. And some of the trouble I had in my life was bottling them up 100% of the time. If you
Oh,
don't let that out, then you'll have some troubles. And I mean, to be fair, I had a very bad childhood. My parents were great, but I had a lot of the things you would think about when kids say they have a bad childhood, and bottling that up through a lifetime didn't work, and it had to come out eventually.
oh, for sure. I've always told people it's like a balloon. You can force more and more air into it, but unless you start letting some of it seep out, it's gonna pop. And
Yeah.
a lot of guys pop, and that's the problem that we're facing, today, that we don't know what to do with ourselves. And so alcoholism, drug abuse, you're talking about porn addiction and womanizing, suicide, you name it, all tends to stem from all of that stuff.
Oh yeah, and the despair, deaths of despair, they call that. And
Hmm.
man, I know. And um I love your analogy because I've actually, said that when my wife and I were talking about it, I'm like, hey, I gotta let some steam off or let air out of the balloon. And it's all right. And an interesting thing for me, this is gonna sound a little funny, but my dad, he's 87, and he did not cry at his father's funeral. And
Wow.
yep, because you that's the way those guys are. What broke him down was when our family cat died. That's when he collapsed. And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, he's crying over the cat, right? And that sort of drove the point home. It's like everybody's got that limit,
Oh yeah.
and he reached it. And I bet he wanted to cry at his pop's funeral.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I just don't know how. I told my wife recently. I said I want to cry. I just don't know how. And I've seen some strong, generically strong men in my life cry, and that I've never seen that emotion before. Both my uncles cried when my cousin passed away, and I'm just like, whoa! I was taken aback by that. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Um, no, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, one window into this is, we're Bengals fans. I've seen Bengals. I saw Jamar Chase cry,
Oh yeah, I
right?
remember that.
And that'll help get you in between, right? It's a different thing. It's not somebody dying, but he had tears of joy and tears of sadness when they lost.
Oh yeah,
And pretty normal reactions, if you ask me. That's the biggest stage in the world.
yeah, that's human. I can definitely say wild card weekend of the 2021 season. I cried when Pratt made that interception.
Oh, I love it.
That, that was the first time in my life that I've witnessed the playoff win. So because I was born in '89, which about a week after the Super Bowl. So
Oh,
yeah, the Super Bowl was
okay.
this weekend, 37 years ago.
Wow. And that'll put it in perspective. So you know, I remember the 1981 season.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so that, and this is drifting a little bit, but man, after that Super Bowl in 89, boy, was that a tough period to be a
Hmm.
Bengals fan. Man, it was, and you had to take your fun where you got it. Like Jeff Blake, Carl Pickens, and Darnay Scott. That was so much fun for me because it was just bombs away. But the teams were not good for a
Oh,
long
for
time.
sure. Yeah, I remember the '90s. I really didn't know what was going on, but I remember it. Pick pieces of it. But I didn't love football until Chad Johnson showed up. Then I was a
Oh,
Bengals fan.
he's a good lead into. You can take bits of him, and he applies to some of the stuff we've talked about online and a little bit here. Like he's a clown, but he's got real emotions. You
Oh
can
yeah.
see it.
Mhm.
And he posted online, "I love you guys." You remember that? That
Oh
was,
yeah.
about a year ago. And when I saw that, that took me back a little bit. I was like, whoa, he's saying this online? Is he wait, it surprised me.
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, Actually, that leads me to a question. Why do you think it's so scary for men to emote in that way?
I'll give you a personal answer and then the sort of more general one. I put it off for so long because afraid I wouldn't stop. I was afraid I would spiral and just fear, just literally just, oh, I will not be able to get back to myself. And um, I've had a powerful, I had an important career for me. And I was afraid, oh, I'll lose my career or I'll lose this or lose my wife. My wife will decide I'm not tough enough or whatever, all these things. And of course, none of that was true. I think generally the sort of vibe when I was growing up was you didn't show weakness, especially around other guys. I do not think tears are weakness, but that's how it came across. And I think, um, boy, again, you think of the athletes. If you're a wide receiver going over the middle and you show any weakness, right, you're
You're done.
done. And yeah, and I just think, man, can they show any perceived weakness at all? And that may be a big driver.
No, I think I get that. As you know, I work with kids, and a lot. These kids, they have a lot of stuff going on, without getting too into the weeds with it. But whenever there's a drop of blood in that water, it's a feeding frenzy for these kids. They pounce on each other hardcore. You cannot show an ounce of weakness in their environment because their background is you show weakness, you lose your survival tactic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and that just makes me feel so bad. And I'm going to be evasive, but I had some of the things you're probably talking about with those kids in my
Well,
background.
I firmly believe that. I grew
Um,
up in this city. I grew up in Evanston, right near Walnut Hills and stuff. I've seen people get shooting at each other. I've seen drugs.
yeah,
You name it, I've witnessed it, and it was
I'm
definitely
sure.
rough. But
Yeah,
it's definitely, I was definitely blessed because it didn't touch me like it touched so many of these kids out here. Yeah. Um,
yeah.
I've had these kids in the class, I'm gonna kill you. Like they're dead serious. I'm gonna have you killed. And I'm just like, I love you anyway.
Oh man. And that probably works more than anything else.
It's a real disarmer because they're looking for a rise. They're looking for a fight and they hate it that they don't get that out of me. They love it, they hate it because, instead of me going like, what's wrong with you? Shut up. They are completely disarmed because they're like, oh, Mr. Josh is gonna get mad. And I'm just like, no, you're the one going to lose out on the gym or something like that. It's up to you if you do your work or not, or if you're doing what you're supposed to. If you fight, you get in trouble. I'm not going to be upset one way or the other, you know. And they can't really fathom that when they're cussing at me or threatening me, they get I'm the same as I came in, and it's hilarious because it's like I'm pushing a button without actually pushing one.
Yeah, but boy, is that a skill that you can pull that off. That's amazing.
It's a very a learned and practiced skill, but it's definitely worthwhile in that environment to have. So
Yeah. And telling those kids you love them too, it's going to go a long way. And these kids, some kid 20 years later is going to be like, whoa, I remember this guy saying that to me.
oh yeah,
And
I
yeah,
refuse to let them think that they're incapable. I've had one that I've been really trying to get through. He's oddly enough a really special case, even in that mix. And he's saying, I just got a feeling I'm gonna end up in prison or something bad. And I keep trying to explain to him, that's a choice. It's a choice where you end up. You may not end up in a mansion, but it's a choice if you end up in prison or homeless or something like that. You don't have to be like all these people you see around you. And
yeah,
I just pray that at some point he really hears it because, these are teenagers and time is running out, as far as the world is concerned.
yeah. Oh, and it's just heartbreaking. And again, I don't want to hijack it. My big problems were when I was a teenager,
Hmm.
and I had to bury friends from car accidents, and one kid got murdered. Man, when you're 15 years old, that you don't have the machinery to deal with that.
No, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't
And
want anyone to deal with it.
yeah. And I mean, I was a part of a Baptist church at the time. And when my friends died, my mom didn't know what to do, and she called the youth leader to come over. And it was a good move, right? He's somebody I loved and respected. And I don't know what happens if I don't have that guy in my life at that time.
For sure.
And it's so hard on these kids. And I think I spent years talking about this in therapy later, and the therapist will tell you straight away, you're 15, your brain just cannot handle that level of stuff that's going on like an adult can.
Yeah.
And you just got to get them through it.
You just got to love them through it, be there as inconsistent as you can. One thing I did learn, kids hate consistency. But no, I definitely appreciate you being so candid with that. 'Cause I know it's not the easiest thing to bring up.
Yeah, and but I also feel like, I'm in my late 50s now. I'm going to tell this stuff. If that helps anybody, that helps one person that's going through that, I'm totally fine with it.
For
And
sure.
when my wife was such a good communicator, she helped me with my voice and a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. So, if you don't mind me asking, tell me a little bit about your wife because she's obviously a big part of shaping the man you are today.
Um, she was just amazing. So met her when she was 21. And we both were in astrophysics PhD programs. And she also was a professional dancer. And so she was this amazingly well-rounded person. But um, she was good at most of the things that she did, but she also struggled with her mental health the whole time I knew her.
Mm,
And it made I learned a lot just by what didn't work. And, we were kids. I was 26 when I met her. She was 21, right? That's young. And now that I'm, 30 years later. But we learned a lot about communicating with each other. And she was patient with me. That's one of the things I would say that's just amazing was that she was just kind and patient while I sort of caught up to where she was. And she communicated a lot when she would say, "This is good, this is helpful to me," or "This is not helpful." And she did it in a way very similar to what you were talking about with your kids. She didn't yell at me or browbeat me. She would just say, "Oh, that's not kind to me. Could you not do that?" And I'm thinking, well, I'm supposed to get mad, or she's supposed to get mad. She's like, "No, that's not working. You do something else." Um, but I mean, I could talk forever about her. She was smart, she was athletic, and she struggled with her mental health. And that Oh, you see people, you think everybody's got it together, right? She's a fit dancer with a PhD in astrophysics, and she's struggling all the time. And I think that drives the point of we're all pretty much the same people. Doesn't
yeah.
matter what your degree is, what your background is. A lot of people are struggling and having a tough time, and you work through it.
Oh, for sure. I tell people a lot of the same, similar stuff. We look at what's different instead of what's the same, and that's why we have so many problems in this world. Whether
Yes.
it's mental health, physical health. Like for me, it's been primarily allergies and asthma my whole life, and it's been real rough. So while I'd probably have never mentally struggled to the same capacity as your wife, I can definitely say those dark corners have been in my head because of my struggles in general. So, I have some level of I get it.
You do. And I'll share with you that, I'm an asthmatic as well. I'm not as bad as you are, but she would just look at me and she'd say, "How do you deal with that?" Because there's no fighting the asthma. You
Mm-mm.
got to get yourself calm. You got to sit down and you got to take your medication. And until she got cancer, she was almost completely in control of her body and she had no idea what it was like where, you're struggling to get a breath.
Oh,
And that, the anxiety from that, the depression, like, am I going to be this way the rest of my life? So she would understand exactly where you're coming from and agree with you.
oh, for sure. My mom said I was diagnosed close to 2 years old. And I've been hospitalized 131 times. Yeah. I look at it and I say, I know how I'm not gonna die at this point. And and I was like, I look at the devil and I say, you suck. You keep trying the same old tricks, and God got me.
Mhm.
Because I was like, you're stupid. This is not beating me. But I've definitely had those doom and gloom moments, and it's just the woe is me's, and I'm tired of it. And but I keep moving because there's more. There's always more to do and better to do.
Yeah. And I would say, um, you know, I used to trade stocks, watch Jim Cramer on TV and stuff like that. Now I work in the business, but it's a different job that I have. But one of the guys on there would say, "Oh, hey, I made a bad trade. I beat myself up for 5 minutes and then I move on." And I was thinking how much that applies to everything. Like, man, when you're in the hospital on a breathing treatment, it's okay to feel gloom and doom, man. Like
Yeah,
you let that in for a little bit and then you breathe it right back out, take whatever time you need.
exactly.
But and you're going to be back there. That's the thing at this point, you're going to be back in that space one way or the other. And so that can give you some power to be just like, okay, yep, I've been here before. I was here 10 times in the last 15 years. I'm gonna be all right.
Exactly. And kind of how you mentioned, telling if your story can help others. I've used, my adventures with asthmahood to help others as well, even adults that are just, I've never had an attack before. I don't know what to do. Or even if it's not an asthma thing, but it looks asthmatic like because they're hyperventilating and all this stuff. And guess who
Yeah.
rides in on his horse and is like, this is what you got to do to help yourself. And if you listen to me, you're not going to die.
Yep. Um, oh, and you know, it's more prevalent in your community than mine. This is it's a documented
Mhm.
medical thing that is more common for black men than white men. The asthma is.
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna see more of it.
hmm You are dead
Yeah.
on correct. And I actually wrote an entire paper on that in school. And they're like, what? And I said, A, easy A.
Yeah. Um, oh, and like, I am within 10 feet of my rescue inhaler. I keep it in my backpack.
Oh,
And
for
I didn't
sure.
know that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Oh my gosh, we're linked up on this one.
Yeah, just go with the flow on it, man. Yeah, no, I definitely, yeah, I keep mine. It's either right next to my bed as well as my neb. Like my inhaler is right here, right now. One of these newfanglies. So yeah, I mean, again, it's going with the flow, and but honestly, for me, I just let my faith guide it. I've told a couple of my friends, they were like, "Well, what if you die?" And this, I said, "Well, I can't really stop that. I can't be afraid of that."
Yeah. And you're doing what you can do. Like the main steps, you got the thing right next to you.
hmm
You're doing what you can and you're living your life.
That's
That's
all you can.
powerful.
Exactly. Um, if someone came up to you, let's say a 12-year-old boy came up to you and he said, "What's it mean to be a man?" What would you say?
Ooh. Um, I'd say how much time you got, 12-year-old. We'll talk a little bit, but um, I think looking back on it now would be, take care of yourself. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. So if you need to take care of other people, you can. You can be strong and you can be really strong sometimes. You tell yourself, hey, I'm going to need a break after this, or I need to wind down after this. Love people, tell them you love them. Most powerful stuff, and not to I'm a mama's boy and I'm not taking anything away from my mom, but my dad telling me he loves me, man, that goes right into my heart.
That's huge. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I have
Um,
I have four boys. Two of them came with my wife, the kids with extra steps. Really, I have five. One was born sleeping, so we didn't get to raise him. And then I have twins who are about to turn 5 in March. And I tell them all the time, love you, love you. And, I make it a game or I annoy them until they go, yeah. And I never want them to not have a day where they didn't hear that from me.
yep. And that is, man, I want to hug you. Like, my wife's father, who I'm still in touch with, uh, he struggled. He couldn't say "I love you" to his oldest daughter until she was in her 20s. And finally, he would say, "We love you." And she just pushed him. She was so great at this, where she's like, "Dad, do you love me? Will you say I love you?" And they worked it out. Um, but no, starting your kids, they need to hear it.
Yeah.
And you can be a tough dude and love people. That's maybe the simplest way I could say you can be a man. You can be tough and love people. And that's a great start.
Yeah, I love that vision right there. Toughness and love should definitely go hand in hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a mama's boy myself, so I definitely, understand the whole, you know, getting the mommy love, but the love from a father or a father figure is definitely different because they're going to love you, but at the same time, they're going to look you right in the eye and tell you, do better.
And I'm just thinking of all these times my dad said that. And he was kind when he said it, but boy, man, when I'm like, oh gosh. Because disappointing him again just would be like, oh, the guy loves me, he tells me he loves me, and I'm disappointing him. I got to do better.
There's nothing better than the success of it too. It's like, look, dad, look. Well, for me, it's look, big brother. I did the thing, I earned the thing, and it felt real good.
Yeah. Oh, it is. And I'll tell you one funny story on this. We talked a lot of serious things. So I was an athlete in high school. I played football and baseball. And I really, I couldn't stop playing tackle football into my 20s. I just loved to go out and hit people, and see a group of people and I'd go out. And when I was in graduate school, my second semester before it started, there was a pickup football game. I was at the University of Florida and I jumped into a pickup game and I severely broke my thumb in the game. And it, I was in a cast for 4 months. I had to do a semester left-handed in graduate school. And I was a lecturer, so I looked like a little kid writing, and all this stuff. And my dad, when I told him I broke it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is a bad one. I tore the ligaments and everything. Tim, do you ever think maybe you ought to never do that again the rest of your life? And he was trying to tell me, dude, you're an idiot. But he just couldn't, he knew that wasn't going to carry the right weight. But that was the last time I played tackle football because my dad said, maybe you ought to not do that again.
Fair. That's a very fair point. Um, I miss playing football though, myself. I really do. I was like, I got enough energy for one more game, and that'd be it. I just need enough people with some courage.
You could do flags or touch too. It's cool. Like that, nothing wrong with that.
Oh, I know. But I love the letting out the physical aggression. I think I'm not the smartest bulb, but that's kind of what I do.
And I think you're smart and the way you interact with people. I wish I was more like you. It's part of why I'm here.
Well, I
Why I
appreciate
wanted
that.
to do this. Um, and oh, the physical energy as a healing mechanism that's a very smart thing you're talking about. We're better when we work out or whatever we do. And what's the couple of the guys we follow, Honcho and Cam, I think do a lot of working out. Maybe
Oh
Max
yeah,
Murphy too.
I'm try
Um,
I'm trying to ask Max. I was like, "Can I come lift with you and your brother?" He just looked at me.
yeah,
I'm just like, "Come on, one time, I'll be satisfied."
yes, and like Miles just looks like the nicest dude. I want to
He
hang out with
does.
him. Like,
Oh yeah. I was like, I feel like I could be friends with Miles or T. Like they definitely look like the kind of guys that I vibe with.
uh-huh. I got Jordan Battles jersey this year. I like the dude's just smiling all the time, man.
I love it. I haven't decided, the next time I buy a jersey, who it would be, just because I got to see who's going to be here.
Well, I own an Awuzie jersey, right? I bought that one and then we traded him. So I know how you feel.
I did get my twins each a jersey that they'll have time to grow into. I got them those custom DH gate ones. It says Adams 1 and Adams 2 on the back.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
Um,
but if you flip it, it's also Adams 21, the year they were born. See, I thought about it.
Very good. I like it.
Oh yeah. So we had about five-ish minutes left. So, last quick question would be if you could, what are three things in life that you would change right now? Yeah, I know I got you on the spot
Um,
with that one.
yeah, and I know we've been serious. Like, I want my wife back. She was terminal when she got diagnosed. We had a good 3 years, but I'd give anything to have her back. So and yes, that's personal, but it's also the world. She was good for the world.
I believe
Um,
it.
yeah. I think I would be a little kinder to myself around the difficulties that I had when I was younger. And just a little bit, and my parents were good to me, but I needed to forgive myself and not blame myself for some of those things that happened. That's a very easy thing to do. Um, and gosh, what else would I do? I don't know. Like this is even with the troubles I've had in my life, it's a good life. I'm kind of happy where I am right now. So um, probably exercise a little bit more, maybe take better physical care of myself, because definitely got some issues in my late 50s now. I've got some problems I don't need to have, but I'll work on that.
There you go. That sounds good. Yeah, I'm working on the whole physical activity thing myself. I'm so tired all the time. It's these kids. Um, they kick my butt, but definitely want to work on just the physical fitness because I'm definitely athletic. I'm a lot faster than I look, you name it. So I just got to hone it. Um, I want to be a great husband. I love my wife and I want to be great. I don't want to be good. I want to be great.
Yeah.
And I want to be an even better son. Yes, to my mom, but also to God. I just want to be the best I can be. I know I'm not perfect, but I want to get there.
I love that so much. And that's the wanting to be better is just a general good goal for a human being. And, you know, there's a mathematical proof that there are these limits you can't ever achieve, but you can go halfway each step.
Oh
And
yeah,
that's what you're describing, right? We can't be perfect, but if we just go halfway every time, you get better and better and better. And I love that.
yeah. I do like that. And while I've never studied physics, you know, professionally or personally, I do understand enough of it from what been able to gather. Star Trek helped a lot with that.
Oh yeah. They're actually good. And this is a book like on my shelf. Like I haven't gotten rid of a whole lot of my wife's stuff. Like I've donated a bunch, but I still have the physics of Star Trek that she had, when I met her. That's on her shelf right now.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, sir. It's taught me a lot. Just I don't always care for some of the stories, more the new Trek I don't care for, but old school stuff was always really fun. And then when they're talking about warp drive and folding space and subspace, I'm like, I think theoretically some of that is doable, but we got to figure out how to do it. So that's how my brain
Yeah.
started going.
I love this. And you don't need math to understand everything,
Hmm.
right? If you can, you picture that folding space and warping space, and suddenly it starts to click.
It
Um,
really does. And so I can definitely, I'm a very visual person, so I'll see it very, very well in my head. I can't draw it to save my life, but I I wish I could because I have a lot of that. Like I just want to get out.
you know what? My wife would say, give it a try. I'm going to show you a painting just for a second. She just picked up painting. When she was diagnosed with cancer, she decided she wanted to be a painter, and that's a
Oh,
painting she did.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very alive. It's like the wind. Like I don't exactly know how to describe. Just it's like the wind is alive and moving. That's what I got.
Oh, look, again, I'm okay talking about this. I hope it's not too
No, you're good.
down tempo a little bit. She moved until 4 days before she died, man. She was just on the go. She did ballet classes, Orange Theory Fitness, and she ran her body until, the cancer got too bad. And then that was that. She was all about motion and connection. Those were her things. And watching her dance, right? That was the best thing in the world for me because that was her being free.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
and I love that you see it in her work. That is just no better compliment right there than that.
I appreciate that I could hit that because that's awesome. Yeah, and she sounds like a really awesome lady. So, I still, prayers for comfort for you, ongoing.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, and then, I'm here to chat too. So you got that regardless.
I have appreciated that I've been able to talk to you, and I'm so glad I ran into you. I don't, this is the beauty of the internet. I have no idea how we ran into each other, but I'm glad we did.
I don't believe in coincidences whatsoever. So it was definitely meant to be. Um,
Love it.
but before we get out of here, anything you want to say, any product you want to plug, new book, anything?
Oh no, I'm in the twilight of my career. I just appreciate you. I'm glad you invited me on, and I love that we're friends.
I love it too, man. I'm really glad to have you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say once again that this is Mr. Tim Spar, and this is at Joshua with Excelsior Coaching, and it's great to see you guys.